Welcome to this episode of our program, Daily Debate, and still with the month of victory, or the October month of the 6th of October. Today is the 7th. So yesterday, literally, we were celebrating together the 6th of October victory. This very, very precise and precious day in our history. Together, I guess this is the only celebration that we all as Egyptians celebrate with glory, with pride, with dignity, and it doesn't have a special food, but I guess that this is an important day in the Egyptian history that will last in the memory of the history forever. Today we'll be speaking about what came after this war, the developments that took place in the country. How far are we proceeding with our developments in order to open up to a new future, a brighter future for our youths and for generations to come? Not just that, but also for the Egyptians to take the center stage, or to take the stage towards the prosperity they aspire for. This is today what we are going to speak about in our episode. Before we delve into our discussion, let me first welcome our guests, Mrs. Riham Elinin, entrepreneur and economic expert. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mohammed Farid, investment developer. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And before we go on with our discussion, let's have a quick look on this report, Better Future for Youth with National Egyptian Development Projects. But first, let's have this quick promo.
أقول باختصار إن هذا الوطن يستطيع أن يطمئن ويأمن بعد خوف، أنه قد أصبح له درع وسيف. بلادي 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 بلادي
بلادي اللي عبرت على الصعب مرت، عشانها نضحي نضم الآيات. بلادي الهنية السمرة الأبية، بلادي اللي كتبت شهادة ميلاد. بلادي بلادي يا أرض الحياة، بلادي بلادي يا نور النجاة، بلادي شرف ليا غني ونادي باسمك وليك يا حبي وفؤادي. بلادي يا حر يا أرض الطيبين، يا بلدي ولادك بحبك مغرمين، لروحهم فادوكي حالفين ما يسيبوكي، يا مصر اللي وانتي مرفوعة الجبين. بلادي بلادي يا أرض الحياة، بلادي بلادي يا نور النجاة، بلادي شرف ليا غني ونادي باسمك وليك يا حبي وفؤادي. بلادي بلادي يا أرض الحياة، بلادي بلادي يا نور النجاة، بلادي شرف ليا غني ونادي باسمك وليك يا حبي وفؤادي.
قسما بالله اللي هيقرب لها لا اشيله من فوق وش الارض.
بلادي شرف ليا غني ونادي باسمك وليك يا حبي وفؤادي.
Many times, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stresses that Egypt develops through stability, work and faithfulness, as countries are built through effort, patience and commitment, and that the future of youth and coming generations depend on what is in the present. The most important characteristic of the mega projects inaugurated lately in Egypt is their comprehensiveness and wideness, and their spread all over the country. This contributes in one way or another to achieving the economic balance and establishing bases of social justice in its large concept and therefore reducing unemployment. Furthermore, it contributes on the short and long terms to the redistribution of the population over a number of new cities in all regions of the Republic, including Sinai and Northern Coast and their surroundings. These national projects entirely constitute a solid foundation for a comprehensive development takeoff in various aspects of economic, urban and social life. It's worth mentioning that mega national projects are considered a locomotive of development as they raise hope in a better future that ensures a decent life for every citizen and keeps at the same time the right to development for the coming generations.
مداد 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 ومداد مداد مداد مدد 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 ست حيل يا ملك مدد 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 ست حيل يا ملك إن كان في أرضك مات شهيد في ألف غيره بيتوالد مدد 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 بلدي يا بلدي يا بلدي يا حبيبتي راجعة زي طير يا حبيبتي راجعة زي طير راجع لأحضان الصحاب الحضن يمو الشوق حرير ياللي فتحتي ألف باب يا سينا من سينا اللي فات يا أغلى الذكريات يا شراع في بحر بينفرات مدد 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 الله الله الله
واحنا هنبني بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى. احنا واخدين الطريق الصعب قوي بس بيكوا يا مصريين محدش ابدا هيقدر يمنعنا ان احنا نبني ونكمل.
مدد 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 ست حيلك يا مالك مدد 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 ست حيلك يا مالك مدد 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 بلدي يا بلدي يا بلدي أمر الرجوع فرد القلوع أمر الرجوع فرد القلوع ولا عادش يا سينا فراق راجعين بدون حزن ودموع نفرش رمالك بالضياء مهما عقول الناس تتوب الابن راح يرجع لابوه ويعيش في حضنه للأبد مدد 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 الله الله الله
اللي هيحافظ على مصر شعب مصر واللي هيحمي البلد دي شعبها.
Under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, success stories all over Egypt.
مصر في انتظار المزيد من العمل والإنتاج.
New Suez Canal. Developing Sinai. Building on our strength.
القوات المسلحة مسؤولة عن الأمن القومي لمصر.
Building new cities. New social housing projects.
احنا بنعمل أمر التاريخ هيتوقف قدامه كتير.
Developing slum areas. Regaining Egypt's leading role regionally and internationally. Supporting women empowerment. Engaging the youth.
قيام رئاسة الجمهورية بالتنسيق مع جميع أجهزة الدولة نحو عقد مؤتمر شهري للشباب.
Supporting national industries.
احنا بنتكلم كلام بجد عشان نبني بلد.
Upgrading infrastructure.
الغاز اللي احنا محتاجينه هيتم تدبيره من عندنا هنا من مصر. مصر تستحق منكم اللي ادتكم على مدى آلاف السنين ما أنتم فيه.
Together, we make change.
Indeed, together we need change, and it's not just the victory of a war, or that we came victorious in a war, but rather we came victorious over our despair, over our frustration, and that was a turning point. Let me again welcome our distinguished guests, Mr. Mohammed Meher, investment developer and member of the CPYP, coordinating committee for party, youth and politician. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Mrs. Riham entrepreneur and economic expert. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you so much.
And I would want to just start with the moments of the war. Yesterday we were celebrating the 6th of October war. Yesterday we were celebrating those glorious 46 years that we have passed through lots and lots of developments in the country. Now we're speaking about today. But before today there was yesterday. How do youth look into yesterday, and where does that take us?
Okay, first thank you for welcoming me today. Okay, if you asked specifically about the youth, and I think that youth are still so much away of what has been happening exactly about the whole history. Yes, they hear bits and pieces from maybe from the school, from the mothers, from the parents, and maybe from the news, but still they lack the whole details of the story so that they can feel the pride. They only listen to the music, maybe they watch a movie or something, but they are still exposed to a lot of different stories from different channels, specifically from the social media. So maybe this is a point that we have to highlight, because, for example, when in other countries you can see documentaries happening about the victory and the stories of what has been happening, how our parents and our grandparents has been building this country. The way of education now it needs more improvement for the youth, so that they be really aware about what is really happening and everything. Only they know the story from the shallow side, but they are not into so much details unless they are close to a certain political community or something. So I still that there is a small a gap about the youth that they know everything. It's still they are easily being attacked with get confused because they can hear different stories. So
yes, because they are distracted. Because they are very much into the social media than, for an instant, the television or the media or so whatsoever, so that they cannot really get into what we.
Exactly. So the problem, Mona, that you'll be surprised that it's not only the social media. There is a lot of documentaries like other channels that give a lot of stories and in depth that maybe the stories is totally away from what is really happening. So it's a call that we should start document professionally, not only from a show side, no, in a professional way, document everything been happening in Egypt, so that our coming kids and grandkids know everything about what's happening and what we have been going through.
Very much indeed. If I would take from what Ms. Riham here said, and I would ask you, as a member of the CPYP, which is the Committee for Party, Youth and Politicians. How do you view the role of parties in raising awareness of people, and particularly youth, of what's going on in their own country?
Well, this is one of the core functions of a political party. The political party, it's one of the social tools to do political awareness, to do political education, to tackle different aspects of the daily matters that matters people most, and try to develop solutions in a policy paper or legislation whatsoever. So this is basically one of the core functions of a political parties. But also, it's not only a political party thing. It's a nationwide cause. Raising the awareness of our history, of the facts, of the great sacrifices that have been taking place in the past years, and actually still ongoing till now, because we still having our ongoing war against terror, for example.
Exactly, and this is the core of the question I meant here. Yes, we went through a victory that really we need to raise this patriotic feeling inside our youth to regain again such feelings that we had been feeling for years and years, but not really that our youngsters feel the same, because they did not live, or even they did not have the same feeling. They did not pass through the stories of our fathers and uncles and all our relatives who were already in the army, who witnessed those times, and they told us the story, and we were into. This is the core question. Not just how we raise awareness of our youngsters towards such a great history, but also to raise the awareness towards challenges that are really facing our country, and that is a duty that we have to do.
I fully agree with you, but let me tell you something, that I really don't share that much concern about the awareness of the youth, because I have a great faith in the awareness of the youth. In the past few years, we have been through many challenges, and probably unprecedented ones. And the Egyptians have been through it. Have been through it because there is a very wise leadership, and because there is awareness in the street between the youngsters. Egypt is a very young nation. Over 60% of the population are young people. So when we talk,
40% are young, and middle age
sort of
20%.
If you're talking about till the age of 45 years old, for example, you're talking about almost 60% of
Yes,
the population.
definitely.
So we cannot say that the youth are disconnected. No, there is a lot of areas of improvement, definitely, but still it's not that
Covering.
it's not that negative or that
No,
bad
no,
as it
never.
might seem in a way. Having said that, I'd like to tell you also that every generation has its own challenges, has its own battles. I mean, our parents, my father, for example, have been graduated in 1968 and have been recruited, in the army till 1974, something like that. He spent first 6 years of his entire career doing that. Then after that, started to find a career and so on. This was a generational thing for our parents. Now our generation is facing another challenges. It might be tough and hard for them, and it's also unprecedented. We're fighting a war on terror in a way. Many young people starting graduating and go to be recruited in the army and go there, fight, and willing to fight to liberate Sinai from the terror. We have the development, the economic development, and building these new mega projects, and trying to modernize Egypt after many years of stagnant situation. Because, I mean, looking at developments going in every aspects of life, on infrastructure, on industries, on technology, And along by that, there is this amazing, ferocious, courageous battle going on against terror in Sinai.
I have to say here that we are here presenting the moments of those glory days and moments that has passed, and
you know, today, yesterday, President Sisi even has talked about the youth right on us is to explain to them what has been happening.
exactly, this is exactly what I meant. This is
so. Yes, we have to explain in details. We have to have interviews, and this is what I see in other countries has been happening. So that maybe it's very important that I would love that my son know more about what has been happening in details.
I've been trying to do that with my both sons all day yesterday. I'll get back to you when we speak about exactly what you were saying and this kind of psychological war that has been taking place, and we as Egyptians have to collaborate together in order to come out with or to overcome our challenges. Today we need to understand exactly how and in which way the achievements that went on and on after this victory has affected our lives after that.
Okay. Of course, it has. We are all affected in all levels, from the normal side to the big side. So, the question is, you mean how we face the challenges?
How we face the challenges throughout the years, the past years, until we come to today, because today we'll have lots to speak about. I mean, today, nowadays.
Okay. I think that we are all in a learning phase, yani, since especially we had a stage of life that we're all not involved with about what has been happening in the country and the mess we have been facing. But since the 2011 till today, somehow, let's talk about the Egyptian normal citizens, not the politician. We don't understand. We are in a learning. We don't understand how to face the challenges, what has been happening, but we are all relying on the hope and that our country will get better. So every stage has its own analysis, and every stage has its own way of action. Some people get anger because of the raising of the prices. No, we should not get. And the other, after a while, they can say, okay, yes, we have to raise the prices because of the freedom of the currency. So all of this is, for all of us, is new. This is, again, it is very important that we have to keep communicating to the normal people what is happening. Some will take time with them to understand, and some will rely on the faith and hope and as the encouragement of how we communicate with them. So I hope that I have answered your questions. A little bit from one side, the psychological one, but here, if I may quote the president here when he spoke about, or rather he pointed out, to our country has exposed to strong waves, most of which came from abroad, but attempts came to an end before the Egyptian solidarity and cohesion. The president spoke about this ability of the Egyptian citizen to come over challenges. What kind of challenges did we go through, particularly after right after this war? And if we can really compare it to the challenges that we are facing today.
Okay, right after the war there was a destroyed infrastructure. I mean, till late 80s there was no coverage for landlines, for example, telephone landlines, or sewage services, even in big cities. Maybe the youngsters doesn't know that, but this is a fact. And to do the entire rebuilding again of the country was a huge challenge. You had deteriorating economy, of course, after years of mobilizing and allocating resources for building the army from scratch again, and to be able to win the war. And this is one of the challenges. And there are a lot of similarities now. I mean, looking back after 2013, the modernization of the Egyptian army, purchasing of new armaments and new weapons, modernizing the army and its role to be able to face the new challenges coming from everywhere, from north, east, west, and south. We are in a very unstable region, and we had to build up our army and modernize it, and to be able to stand for these challenges. And this had been done in a very short time. I mean, looking in just 3-4 years, we grow in our ranking as army and as firepower. In the development side, we had people living in slums, in dangerous areas. Now there is this social housing. We have a very bad economic situation prior to 2013, and now things are getting much better. Looking at the unemployment rates, for example, it reached up to 13% or something like that, and now it's going back to 8% more or less. Looking at foreign investments, looking at looking at the
mega projects that have been taking place, the slum areas that have been
basically the
new
network,
houses.
the road networks, for example.
Yes.
And if you look back in after the 6th of October war, there was a lot of underdeveloped roads, for example, and there was a need to maintain and rebuild some new roads, for example, and bridges all over Cairo and so on. Now this is happening again, and looking also at the petroleum and gas industry for the new explorations. Before that, we hadn't much exploration when it comes to that field, and now we have the Zohr field and other great natural gas exploration, and now we're turning into a regional hub for that. So there are so many going on, in comparing it. It's a very good point to compare the challenges between the challenges we face as a generation.
Yesterday
and our
we were
fathers.
confronting an enemy,
Yeah.
a very obvious enemy. Today we are confronting a unanimous enemy.
Exactly.
That's
I fully agree.
getting back to you. And President Sisi said, or rather he always stressed, that every achievement accomplished saves effort, money and time. And how do you view this? How do you read this? His statements. How do you read what he's speaking about developments and how it saves time, money and effort?
Which kind of development you mean? Because I really don't understand the question. Development from which side? Investment from you mean the roads?
We are going through development plans in all phases of life.
Okay.
We're going through social, we're going through economic plans and programs, we're going through political achievement, but here let me emphasize more on the economic and social ones.
Okay. From the development economically, I see there is always fluctuation. The country has already did a lot of strategic vision and plan for the country for 2030, but still when it comes to execution economically and from business side, still there is this kind of lack between this kind of vision and when it comes to executing it on ground. Again, I will say that we have been in a learning phase from all sides. Some project has gone perfectly great, especially the mega projects. But some still for the other projects, especially in the entrepreneurship and the private business sector, still needs more looking at, especially that already there is a lot of road networks has been built, there is a lot of infrastructure has been built, so it is not only enough that that it should be utilized by only the government. It definitely requires other investment, either locally or
Private. Yes.
or
The private sector.
yes,
To get more indulged into this.
So definitely this, maybe the last period they were not focusing so much on this. They were just focused on some plans, but it's already written in the strategic plan in Egypt 2030. So they already have to engage the others, especially the investment sector, from local and from foreign, so that they get they started
Acquired
to
results.
acquired and make use of all this. There is already investment has been done in the bridges, in the networks, in the ports, in the industrial areas as well. So all of this has to be utilized.
So those industrial areas has to see industrial.
Definitely. We have industrial areas still doesn't have enough investment.
Yes. Before we continue on with our discussion, let's have this second report and Egypt's first investment magnet country in Africa. Let's watch.
هنا القاهرة، نجحت قواتنا المسلحة في عبور قناة السويس على طول المواجهة، وتم الاستيلاء على منطقة الشاطئ الشرقي للقناة.
توجه التحية لروح أكتوبر وجيل أكتوبر، قدموا لمصر في وقت كان بنعيش فيه حالة انكسار وتحولت لحالة انتصار.
أكتوبر 73 الإرادة والتحدي.
The Rand Merchant Bank ranked Egypt as the first investment magnet country in Africa for the third year in a row, to be followed by Morocco and South Africa. A report by the bank attributed Egypt's ranking to the improvement in the business environment in the country. The bank based its assessment on 6 sectors: financing, mining, information technology, industry, construction, and retail trade. It's worth mentioning that Egypt took the lion's share of foreign direct investments coming to the African continent, with a big share of total investment inflows to Africa, thanks to the free trade area agreement signed among African states that help providing more opportunities for investments, facilitating the movement of citizens, and increasing inter-Africa trade. Egypt's foreign direct investment inflows are set to surge more to their highest level in the coming years as the economy improves and international companies channel funds to key infrastructure projects in the country. Egypt is eager to cooperate effectively with African partners in various developmental and economic areas as part of the African Union's Agenda 2063, especially given that Egypt is the AU's current chair. In this regard, Egypt has implemented a number of initiatives, including the establishment of an investment risk assurance fund in Africa, which aims to stimulate Egyptian investors to direct their investments into African countries. Noteworthy, the Central Bank of Egypt is making significant efforts through its presidency of the Association of African Central Banks and is seeking to establish an African Central Bank and a fund to boost banking and financial stability in Africa. It is also working on supporting investment and development alongside Egyptian banks, which have begun to work in African markets to maximize trade exchange, support exports and imports, and provide required funds for joint trade and investment.
اروها بعرقكم زي ما احنا رويناها بدمنا.
أكتوبر 73 الإرادة والتحدي.
إن هذا الوطن يستطيع أن يطمئن ويأمن بعد خوف، أنه قد أصبح له درع وسيف.
لقد اتخذ السادات قرار حرب أكتوبر المجيدة في ظل ظروف صعبة البطل المصري الذي تظل سيرته ملهمة لنا وللأجيال القادمة من بعدنا، فأجاد التخطيط والإعداد والترتيب سياسيا من خلال عبقرية واضحة مشهود لها، وعسكريا من خلال كفاءة وقدرة قواتنا المسلحة العظيمة.
حين تمكنت القوات المسلحة المصرية من اقتحام مانع قناة السويس الصعب واجتياح خط بارليف المنيع وإقامة رؤوس جسور لها على الضفة الشرقية من القناة، بعد أن أفقدت العدو توازنه كما قلت في 6 ساعات.
فكان الانتصار الذي أعاد لمصر وللأمة العربية بأسرها الكرامة والشرف. إن رسالة السادات لكم كانت واضحة، وجوهرها أن مصر تعلو ولا يعلى عليها، وأنها تطلب السلام العادل الذي تحميه القوة القادرة.
مهما كانت التضحية ومهما كانت تكاليف هذه المعركة هندفعها بإذن الله وهنحارب معركتنا، ولكن لن نسلم في إرادتنا ولا في سنتي من أرضنا ولا الأرض العربية.
ما ينتهيش الدرس في أكتوبر، الدرس لازم تعرفوا الأجيال، ولا يتنسيش النصر في أكتوبر، النصر يخلق كل يوم أبطال. لك يا مصر، لك يا مصر.
Right, welcome back, and back to you, Mr. Mohammed Farid. And under clear directives of President Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt is currently drawing up pro-private sector policies in order to encourage attracting more local and foreign investments. I will not ask about the directives themselves, but I will ask, as investors, what is needed? What could attract foreign investments or investors to come?
The worst thing can ever happen to any sort of business is the uncertainty. So stability is a basic step for that. Now we are seeing stability going.
Yes, indeed.
The next thing is to have also stability when it comes to the legislations and to the fiscal and monetary policies. In the past couple of years, there was a lot of brave decisions that have been taken place in order to start to liberate and unlock the economic potential in Egypt. This has to come with some sort of hard and difficult side effects per se. You know, for example, the high inflation rates, the high interest rates to countermeasure the inflation. Now things are going back to normal. Now the interest rate is getting lower and lower, the inflation is getting lower and lower, and once we reach these steps, we can start to expect more stability in the market. We can start to expect more investments to be attracted locally and internationally. So this is one of these. The other thing, when it comes to the taxation code, I mean, it has to be also stable and clear, because anyone would like to do business. Very tiny, teeny, small business to the mega companies. He has to know and to be able to calculate what they're gonna pay and what they're gonna get back. And finally, the most important thing is to trim down and cut down the bureaucracy. The problem
Bureaucracy in its negative way.
definitely, that's I mean the red tape per se. The Egyptian bureaucracy is a very crippling force when it comes to doing business, when it comes to investments. I mean the huge amount of paperwork and different places you has to go all around, and the super extended time you have to spend to get that done.
You mean here in few words facilitating the procedures and the measures in order to come out or to be able to do business?
I fully agree. Look, there is one of the major positive things that the government now is working toward digitalization of the services, and this will cut a lot of the red tape. This will cut a lot of the corruption going on in the red tape, accompanied by the red tape. So this is a very important thing, and this is very, it's better to be late than never be there. So it's a bit late, but it's good. And we hope to advance more in that and take more rapid steps toward the digitalization and making the services more available online. And one of the things that we can talk about, it's about the outsourcing of the governmental services. I mean, let the private sector do some of these services. Be a service provider, but don't be a service manager. I mean, the government. Let the private sector take part in this, and you'll see a lot of affordability, a lot of spreading of these services at affordable price. And if the government just focuses its role as a regulator, as a supervisor, as someone that guarantees the best practices and the highest qualities, a lot of these problems will be solved, and people will feel much relieved, when they...
And the private sector will be able to help out in carrying a burden, a big burden. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. And I guess this is what is the country is working for right now. And if I come back to you, Mrs. Riham, and how do you assess Egypt's economic reform program? What were exactly the milestones that have been taken in for the past few years?
Okay, the Egyptian reform program, I think, is going great. Actually, one of the very important steps that Egypt has taken is to have a free market. And now, when you have a free market for all the kind of products, this will help a lot. When you have a free price for the petroleum, when you have the free price for the energy, you will not. You can easily compete with, especially for the exporting products outside Egypt. So it will definitely open a lot of opportunities for especially the local entrepreneurs, so that they can start using the Egyptian material, so that they can manufacture it to have an adding value product, and they can easily start competing with other developed countries. Maybe the other thing which has to go with the Egypt reform, that they have to have, like what we had before 2011, something like the IMC, the Industrial Modernization Center.
It still exists, by the way.
But it's not that active. Yeah. So the reform was great, but it requires other action that should be taken in balance with it, so that the whole that you can see the whole effect of such a strategic step that we have taken, so that you only don't feel that, okay, the prices of the dollar is going up, the dollar is going down, the prices is fluctuation, but this is healthy for any kind of, especially in the industrial sector. But in parallel, you have to let people build factories, and let people have laborers and train laborers, so that they have this kind
open
of
opportunities for employments.
Exactly.
Right. If we speak about the measures that have been taken within this reform for the Egyptian industry, and how far are we in need for this sector to revive, to get into what we needed to be one important sector in the Egyptian economy?
Definitely, definitely. Look, one of the important things that have been taking place is the free floating of the currency. Because before that, you cannot compete with subsidized cheap imports from abroad. I mean, if you are selling the US dollar at a fixed price, this means that you are subsidizing the US dollars, and this makes the importing price for goods and services cheaper than making it locally. And this distorts the entire economic structure. This distorts the entire industries. So in order to be able to boost the industry, you have to stop subsidizing the US dollar and free float the Egyptian pound to get things at its real values. And this is what happened. Of course, didn't get its full effect because of the inflation that accompanied it, and this is understandable. Now things are getting to be more stable, and we shall see a better and improvement conditions in the upcoming few months and the upcoming years, of course. This is first. The other thing, of course, is the interest rate, because people have to be encouraged with a lower interest rate to be able to do investments. Because if you give me a high interest rate, why on earth I would bother and take risk of building a factory while I can put my money in the bank and just get the surplus of it. So now lowering the interest rate is a very good step also toward encouraging the industry. When it comes to the other policies, we have a problem when it comes to the land allocation. There is a lot of improvements need to be taking place in that area, because several investors would like to have a plot of land to be able to build the factory, and there is a problem in allocating the land. Not because we don't have much land, but because of the intergovernmental bureaucracy that cripples it. So we have to start to ease up this intergovernmental bureaucracy, and we have to ease up the restraints and the number of the endless loop, for the investor to be able to get several licenses, and they can
applying the one-stop shop as
it should be, because one of the things that when applied
part of the investment law.
Yeah, supposedly that when you go to one-stop shop that you end all your paperwork there, but what has happened, it was a one-stop shop to collect the papers, and then someone else, a proxy, going over for the 30 or 50 steps that needed to be placed. So instead of doing one-stop shop, it's like 30 steps or 50 steps in one place. So it has to be more efficient.
Facilitating these procedures,
definitely.
That would be great for investors, definitely.
Absolutely.
I understand. Finally, here, if I may take a word from you of what do we need to confront our challenges at this upcoming stage, particularly of what concerns youth?
That they have to start revolution on themselves, actually. That they have to have...
Can we just use another word?
Okay. Why not? Why? Why?
Let's say, for an instant, revolt on their own on their own selves, work on themselves.
It's the same meaning for me. I don't know. Well, there's something good the President Sisi has said, and maybe I would repeat it. He didn't maybe continue the whole word, but I would like that he said, when he said that I'm not a politician, he was about to say. He was about to say that I'm a soldier. So actually, this is what the youth should start looking at. That they have to stop talking. but they have to start doing.
Yes,
يعني, so this is very important. President Sisi has said it in his the speech before this. So they have to stop talking and just complaining, and now they have to see what's the opportunity and they have to run after the opportunity.
Yes, indeed. Fortunately, my time is out. I have to end it here. Mr. Riham Elinin, entrepreneur and economic expert, thank you for being with us. Mr. Mohammed Farid, investment developer and member of the CPYP coordinating committee for the party youth and politician. Thank you for being
Thank you for having me.
Thank you both, and thank you for input. Dear viewers, we're still with our celebration throughout the whole week. We'll be speaking more about the 6th of October and all different aspects. Tomorrow would be a very interesting episode. Also tomorrow is, would carry out with this talk. Until tomorrow with another colleague, good night.